I can't buy the air I breathe. I can't buy the trees. I can't buy the deepest seas. But it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.
Welcome to Around the World in 88 Tales. I'm David Heathfield here at the Royal Albert Memorial Museum in Exeter, and very excited because this is, wow, the last of all of the 44 story shares that I've done with storytellers all around the world, and this 44th story share where the 87th and indeed the 88th tale are going to be told. I'm with a dear friend, Zahra Afsah from Iran. Hi Zahra, how are you?
Hello, it's lovely to see you, and thank you for having me and including me on the map of the world.
Well, let's have a look at the map of the world. And right now, just because really, I mean, it's been such an exciting journey. We really have been to every continent, many countries, 44 different places, and I'm here in Exeter in the southwest of England, and you're from Iran. So here we are. And I know that your work, Zahra, is a lot of your work is in bringing stories and traditions from your heritage, not just stories and also artwork and miniatures alive, but you're doing that through the medium of oral storytelling. Is that right? Tell us more about you as a storyteller and your interest in storytelling in this project.
That is very right, David. Yes, I come from Iran, and Iran has a very strong oral tradition. And I have been very lucky to be influenced by different people all over my life, from my grandfather, my father. My grandfather was a great storyteller. He told stories in a beautiful manner, Shahnameh stories, especially using his body, his hands, changing the tone of his voice, and you name it. And then later on, I was influenced by my first elementary teacher. He was an amazing, amazing teacher and storyteller. He was teaching us the alphabets, but at the same time, he was teaching us the art of storytelling, and I was greatly influenced by him. And then later on, when I moved to the West, I started studying Persian miniature painting, Eastern art and archaeology, and then I've been telling the stories behind the miniature paintings, which are within manuscripts. So it's a long journey.
Well, I love the way you share stories. It's so powerful and full of powerful imagery, and well, and movement as well. I know that you often work with musicians. Let me share with you today's object, and I've chosen especially for this very final story share of this project a very special object. It's the it's the oldest object we have at the museum. And I'm wondering if people are thinking, what could that be? It's not man-made, it's, you could say, a natural object. And of course it's geological. I'm also going to tell you it's extraterrestrial. Yes. Here it is. It's a meteorite. And this meteorite was found in the museum collections, and we don't actually know how it came to the museum. We don't know where it was found or when it was found. But when people were going through the collections, this object was found and thought, this looks like a meteorite. So it was sent for testing. And a very thin slice a section was taken to analyse it and to verify, and sure enough, it is a meteorite. So this is coming from the beginning of our solar system, a piece that would have broken off from a planet or a moon and been a big piece, a meteor flying through space, and then as it entered the Earth's atmosphere would have broken off into smaller pieces like this one. And the outside of it, you can see it's black on the outside because as it was burning up and melting as it came into the Earth's atmosphere. But inside, it's full of chrondules or glassy spheres. And I'm going to show you where when this a fine section was cut. This is the inside. Are you ready? Look. It's so beautiful. This is what we can see inside this meteorite. So, the oldest object, a beautiful, beautiful object. Let me tell you a story and then I will invite Zahra to respond with another. You've got people in Argentina, Tere, Cora is watching from Germany. Ivor Smith is also in Germany, saying hi Zahra. Tammy is here. Wow, here we go. Here's the story. I learned this story from a boy, a teenage boy. I think he's 13 and his name is Mohammed. And Mohammed lives in Gaza in Palestine. And this is the story that I learned from Mohammed. A boy went to his father. Father, what is the value of life? You want to know the value of life? Here, take this stone. Go to the market, and when they ask you how much you want to sell it for, hold up 2 fingers. See what price is offered and then come back. Don't sell it. So the boy took the stone and hurried to the marketplace. There was a woman working at her stall selling vegetables. He showed her the stone. She looked at it and said, "Oh, that stone could be useful for holding down my cover so the wind doesn't blow it away. How much do you want for it?" And he held up 2 fingers. 2 dinar. Yes, I'll offer you 2 dinar. But the boy didn't answer. He took the stone and he hurried home. Father, a woman in the market offered me 2 dinar. Take the stone again, this time to a merchant. See what the merchant offers you when you hold up 2 fingers. So the boy ran to the merchant's house. He was a well-known merchant in that town. The merchant opened the door, looked at the boy. The boy didn't speak, but held up the stone. The merchant looked at it. "This is a fine stone. Yes, I could fetch a good price. How much do you want for it?" And the boy held up 2 fingers. 200 dinar. Yes, I agree. I will give you 200 dinar. The boy didn't sell it. He remembered what his father had told him, and he hurried home. Father, the merchant was willing to pay 200 dinar. I see, said the father. Take the same stone and go to the museum. Ask to speak to the museum curator. See what is offered when you hold up 2 fingers. So the boy rushed to the museum. He asked to talk to the curator, and when the curator of the museum came before him, the boy held up the stone. The curator looked at it. Astonishing. This is unique. No other stone has ever been seen of this kind. We must have this. What are you expecting to be offered? And the boy held up 2 fingers. 2,000 dinar. I see. 2,000. Yes, it is worth this price. I will pay you. But to the man's surprise, the boy hurried away from the museum, back to his father. Father, in the museum I was offered 2,000 dinar for the same stone. Yes, said his father. You asked about the value of life, my boy. Listen, it all depends on how your life is presented, how you carry yourself, the people that you surround yourself with. Always value yourself highly, like in the museum. A precious stone. All of us carry a precious stone inside of us. We must value ourselves highly and be surrounded by people who also value us highly. And so you must also see the precious stone in others who you meet in your life. This is the value of life. I learned about the value of life from a young boy called Mohammed in Palestine, in Gaza, and I'm sharing this story with you. Thank you very much for your comments in the chat. Amazing. Lovely. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to find out what the very final story of our project, because this project belongs to the world, is going to be from my friend from Iran, Zahra Afsah. Zahra, over to you.
Thank you, David. What a beautiful and touching story. I'm going to share with you a very old, an ancient story, older than all these objects in museums. This story is an episode from the long epic book of Shahnameh in Iran. Long ago, at the furthest point of the oceans and the earth, there was a mountain called Kuhe Qaf. It was the loftiest, the highest, the most mysterious place. They say it was there that the seen and the unseen, the natural and the supernatural, the marvelous and the miraculous met. They say it was there that legends, fairy tales, and myths were born. They say it was there that the magical bird, the Seymour, had her nest. The Seymour. One calls her the firebird. One calls her the phoenix. One calls her the eastern sun. Seymour the ageless, who had unraveled the puzzles of life. Seymour the benevolent, who knew the secrets of time. Seymour the protective, who knew the puzzles of life. Seymour with an eagle's body, a dog's head, a lion's claws, with a long feathered peacock's tail, with wings, the vastest, widest wings that united the earth with the sky. Wings as large as 30 birds. Each bird a unique color, 30 birds of 30 colors, سی مرغ و سی رنگ. When the sea morgue took flight, the beating of her rainbow wings caused the seeds to scatter all over the ground, bringing life. When the sea morgue took flight, the beating of her rainbow wings caused the sky to turn dark, as though a giant rain cloud had appeared, bringing life. Keep all of that in your mind. One day, one fine day, as the Seymour was flying high above Mount Alborz, looking for food for her chicks, she suddenly noticed a naked child abandoned on the rocks. The child was crying so hard. Soon, the all-knowing Seymour knew it all. The infant was Zal, the son of Sam, the ruler of Sistan in Persia. When Zal was born with white hair, Sam assumed that his own son was either an old man or a cub of the evil Ahriman. Fearing that this was a punishment from the gods, he shouted, "Take that child away! Take him to the mountains, to the forests, to the deserts. Leave it alone to die." The Seymour sat beside Zal. The minute she set her eyes on Zal, an endless entity, compassion, love filled her heart. The Seymour picked Zal up with her strong claws from the burning rocks, up, higher, high, to the peak of Mount Alborz, close to the sun. She placed him gently in her giant nest, next to her little ones. They say it wasn't the first time that Seymour had raised great heroes in her nest. The mystical Seymour raised Zal as her own. She taught him wisdom. She taught him all the languages. She taught him all the existing laws of life. Zal, the white-haired boy, grew strong. He spoke with all beings, sang with the wind, and learned the rhythms of life. The Seymour told her stories to Zal. Zal looked out of the nest at the stars, imagined himself a prince in a distant land called Persia. Back in Persia, Sam was an old man now, his hair white, his beard white. He had no peace of mind. All he had was lifeless days and sleepless nights. Nightmares haunted him every single night. The birds in the sky, the fish in the sea, the bees in the jungle, they all loved their little ones, except this man who calls himself the great Psalm. There is no love in him. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look again. Tell me, is it a sin to have white hair now? Your son never died. He is alive. He is somewhere far. Sam woke up, ashamed and remorseful. He began to search all over Persia after his son. He walked and walked and walked and walked and walked till he found himself at the foot of Mount Albert. He tried to climb, but each time he tried, he failed. He threw himself on the rocks, on the hard rocks, weeping, poured stones and dust on his head, sobbing. The Seymour heard Sam's cries. She listened. She turned to Zal, the boy she loved like her own son. She said to him, "It is time for you to be united with your father, Sam." Zal cried, "Do not despair. I'm always with you. Have no doubts. Take this feather of mine. Keep it with you at all times. Whenever in trouble, burn it. I will be with you in no time." Zal became calm. The mystical Seymour picked Zal up, flew over the stones and placed him next to his father, Sam. Zal looked at Sam. Sam looked at Zal. Zal was truly handsome. Sam's heart turned into a garden in paradise. He threw his arms around his son. "Please, please forgive me. Let the past vanish. Allow the future with me, your father." Zal forgave his father. He forgave the mighty Sam.
Zahra, what an amazing story, and how beautifully told, taking us right back to the beginnings. Maybe even, you say even older. But I can tell you, this meteorite is 4 billion years old, so maybe this story is even more than 4 billion years old. We can imagine. You're bringing the Persian culture alive for us. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much for being part of this project. And can I just ask you, what made you choose to tell this story today?
David, when you asked me to share a story in relation to this rock, amazing rock, I had to think of something to connect me to the world, that's seen and the unseen, the natural and the supernatural. And the only thing I could think of was the Seymour. And obviously the stories, the legends, the myths that connect us to this world we know so little about. But at the same time, we are connected. We are all one.
Zahra, you've summed up the whole project in that one sentence. We are all connected. We are all one. And I want to just say thank you again to all of the story sharers. but not only those who've told stories from around the world, but all of you who have joined us and listened with an open heart and an open mind, learned about different cultures, and to be with us in this project around the world in 88 tales. Thank you so much, Zahra Afsah. Thank you very much indeed. And I wish you health and happiness.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
I can't buy the trees. I can't buy the deepest seas, but it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.